A pleasant good morning to everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Our guest menu today, the one and only Ossie Clark. You see him? He joins us for the November the 9th edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Here's what's trending, and then the panel will get started. Should be another interesting show. Southern football returns home to battle the Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats, and the Jaguars have been on the road their two longest trips to Tallahassee and Huntsville. They went 1-1 on that road trip. Basketball season has started with dollar signs in mind. Although I'm going to tell you about one team that almost pulled off a huge upset, and Ossie Clark has that name right on the shirt. They're going to be something to deal with in this season. Also, who will represent the West in the championship game? There's a couple of scenarios going out there. But for Coach Graves, it's just win the week. Win the week. And then congratulations to Southern University women's soccer. They're in the SWAC championship game against TSU. It's the first time in their history that they've made it to the championship game. That's what's trending. The panel. Good morning to everyone. Ossie, Wheeler, Coach Pettaway, and Charles Edmond. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Well, last week, Wheeler said, Carlos, don't jump off the ledge. Don't go over the cliff. The Jaguars coming off a humbling experience to the FAMU Rattlers 24-6. It was a crucial game last Saturday. They get things done over Alabama A&M 25-20. They come from behind once again. We've used the term resilient, tough, mentally and physically tough, but they get it done. Coach Pettaway 25-20, down 10-9 at the half. Cesarian T-Set back at the helm, 294 yards, offensive player of the week. He had a big drive in the fourth quarter to get it done. So, Coach Pettaway, what are your thoughts on Alabama A&M?
Well, I thought Southern was the better team last Saturday. Coach Graves, when you talked to him, he felt confident coming in, and he just said that all they had to do was manage the game, and they did that, especially down the stretch. Down the stretch, man, your defense, the biggest thing in this game, your defense, they stood up when they needed to stand. And I was in that fourth quarter, and the only thing that I was disappointed in, normally the Jaguar Nation travels, there were less than 50. There were less than 50 people from in the Jaguar Nation in attendance, and I had never seen that before in Huntsville. But Coach Graves and his staff, they did what they had to do. You had great quarterback play. That was the big difference, and they got it done.
Boy, it is amazing, when you can get quarterback that can manage the game, don't hurt you, 3
Yep.
touchdown passes, no interceptions. And this is kind of what we've been talking about all season. Now, Wheeler, they've got to build on that and consistent quarterback play. That's something that they look to get done um, this afternoon. Also, they retooled the offensive line, and it's proven to be a good move.
I think Coach Graves looks like he'll probably settle in with T-Set and maybe ride him the rest of the way out. Which might not be a bad move at this time. He's been a little up and down, but he was fairly consistent last Saturday. And so I think there's a lot to build on right there. So if I had to put, one team in the driver's seat on that side of the ledger, it would probably be you guys.
Hmm.
So I mean, still got a little semi tough way to go, and on any given Saturday, as they say, or Sunday or whatever day of the week it is. Anything can happen. But, I think with Coach Graves' experience, and having been kind of down this road before, not as a head coach, but, probably as an assistant, I think it's time for him to start pushing the right buttons and look to get this team over the hump.
Aussie. Oh, go ahead, Coach. By the way.
No. I was just going to say, as long as they can keep the running game going, that'll help your quarterback. Because what they did, man, they just controlled the line of scrimmage, man. And as long as they can continue doing that, I think they're going to be okay.
Aussie and Charles.
I guess I'll step in before Charles jumps in. But Southern University has proven this year one thing when it comes to playing football on the western side of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and they've proven that you don't have to be pretty to be effective or pretty to even win. Because at the end of the day, that's what really counts, is winning and losing. And yes, sometimes along the way, people won't like the fact that it doesn't look good, but at the end of the day, you want to be in the championship game. And Southern is in position right now, to all the Southern fans across the country and in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You're in the driver's seat. So all you have to do at this particular point is win out. If the Jaguars can do what they did last week against Alabama A&M, which is control the offensive line of scrimmage and get good quarterback play, there is no doubt that they can be the ones who will be from the western side of the conference, because right now everything is trending in their favor. Tip your hat to Coach Graves. Like it, don't like it, what happened at the beginning of the season, none of that crap matters right now. Only thing that matters is what's going on these last two football games, and are you going to be in the SWAC championship football game? So Southern University right now getting the job done, even though it may not be pretty, but it is effective.
Well said, Aussie. I can't disagree with that. Charles?
At this time of year, it doesn't really matter as long as you get to where you need to get to. And it's not going to be pretty football at any level. I know Wheeler's Brown talking about his Ravens. I saw his Facebook post about his Ravens. It's not pretty. It's just not.
Yeah. He complains about the defense.
It's just not. And so, look, Southern University, that was, I think, in my opinion, seasons have defining moments one way or the other. A defining moment goes your way and the season goes your way. A defining moment doesn't, and the season goes south. That game against Alabama A&M, a team that I think I knew Southern was going to win the game. I had them picked. I think A&M has kind of packed it in, even though they seem to find a way to make it interesting late. Southern's a better football team, and they found a way to win that game, just like they found a way to beat Alcorn, just like they found a way to beat Texas Southern. This is Southern's mantra. This is just what they do. And so now the Jaguars control the Western Division. It's not a done deal yet. Could be, though, depending on what happens right here with Alcorn and Texas Southern. Could be. And so, but Jaguars are back at home. They're in the friendly confines, and you should take care of business. And if you do that, you'll be hoisting that Western Division trophy. But it was a huge win. I think for Coach Graves, you got to go with the hot hand. T-Set has the hot hand. You stick with them. In this league, it's about the hot hand. And so T-Set's got it. You stick with it. You ride it and see what happens.
Yeah. And then, last Saturday, I was in hog heaven. I had two SWAC Hall of Famers. You had Coach Pete Richardson there in the press box with us. And then, of course, you had Charlie Neal, two of the guys that are going into the SWAC Hall of Fame this year. And it was just a great vibe. And just to see Coach in there calling the game, man, he's so sharp, man. And his view of the game was amazing for your fans, man, because he can see things that, before they happen. Mm-hmm. And, you get a chance to learn a lot from Coach Pete Richardson, man. So it was great to see him.
Yeah. And still, involved with the university. Yeah. And, the way it ended, with his coaching career, some Thought it could have been handled better, but time heals everything. Back involved with the university. 25-20. Jaguars go to 5-4 overall, 4-1 in conference play in the Western Division. I guess the highlights of this ball game last week was Cesarian T-Set. He had an outstanding job, but some of the other numbers for Southern University: 147 yards rushing, passing 294, total offense 441 yards on 67 plays. Xavier T-Set was 24-37 for 294 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. Kobe Dillon, 85 yards rushing, and Darren Morris, 5 receptions, 96 yards. Third down conversions, 7 of 17 for the Jaguars, 1 of 11 for Alabama A&M. So from start to finish, Southern University, didn't play a perfect game, but they played a solid game, and now they put themselves in position to win the Western Division. I know about the different scenarios. If Texas Southern wins and Southern has to focus on Southern.
Right.
Win today, win the week, win next week, and then the Value Classic. And then there you have it. Everything else will take care of itself. Gentlemen, one of the other things we said, what's trending, who will represent the West in the championship game? We know Southern is leading the way right now, but Charles, there could be some traps if the Jaguars are not careful.
Well, I mean, there could be, but right now Southern's got all the ace cards. They got the tiebreaker on Alcorn. They got the tiebreaker on Texas Southern. They even have the 3-team tiebreak if it comes down to that. So Southern University controls all the cards. That's just bottom line. I mean, last week was the week. If they lost last week, then you can come up with all kinds of scenarios, down the stretch. But that game last week, like I said, that's the one that's springing them free to this point. Yes, they still have to take care of business. And yes, they're at home. And we know at home, and I've said this, and I've challenged the Jaguar Nation in the past, big home games.
Oh, I know. They told me. They told me, Charles.
Yeah. I mean, and the facts bear it out. I mean, the receipts are there, with the exception of Alcorn. Now, you've beaten Alcorn 3 years in a row at Mumford. But Florida A&M, Jackson State, we're talking about big games. Now, this is as big as it gets. Even though it's not big in name, Bethune and UAPB, this is for the big prize in the division, which is what? Winning the division. So, I mean, yes, it's big, but it doesn't get any bigger than winning the division. A team that wasn't expected to win the Western Division. So it doesn't get any bigger than this. I mean, I think if Southern, they have to win the week. I think Bethune will come to play. They're playing a little better these days.
Yeah.
But Southern, if their defense shows up, and in the fourth quarter, if it gets close, Southern will find a way. Now, I am going to say this. The law of averages always wins. Southern has found a way to win these games. Can they continue to find a way in the fourth quarter if you get a big game that they have to have? You get down in the fourth. Can you pull that one out? At some point, you'll be running with buzzsaw. But right now, this is what Southern's about. They don't start fast, but they finish fast. That's all that counts. So, yeah, Southern's got some traps. They're at home, and you would think at home you play loose and fancy free, which can work against you because you think you got it. But Bethune-Cookman's going to come ready to play. But the Jaguars have the edge. Jaguars control all the cards. The Jaguars are in firm control of the Western Division. And depending on what happens here today, this might be a long day today because there's lightning in the forecast. There's rain. Once it gets here, we might be stuck here for a while the way the weather forecast is shaping up. They're even moving the DJ up here because they don't want them to get wet. It's going to be one of those days. So, depending on what happens, could be a long day here. But if Southern just wins a couple of games, the Bayou Classic, I mean, they'll be prancing around down in New Orleans because they would have won the Western Division. And rightfully so. They won the games that they had to win. And yes, they deserve to win the West. Not done yet, but they are definitely in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
Well,
and I just think this past weekend was their trap game. That the game, because they could have been looking ahead. We got 2 games at home, and then we got the Bayou Classic. So A&M's game could have been a trap game for them, and evidently, Jaguar Nation thought it wasn't an important game because they didn't come up. But for now, Jaguar Nation needs to turn up at home. They need to come out and support this team. Coach Graves and his staff there in a great place. I got a chance to visit with him on Friday. I delivered my promise to him. I told him over the summer that when he came to Huntsville, I was going to show him some real ribs, that kind of stuff. And Carlos, I was looking for you, but I did. I fulfilled my promise, and he called me on Monday. I told him, I said, Coach, I'm not going to bother you on Saturday now. So I'm a coach. I know how to stay out of the way. So I made the visit on Friday, delivered my package to him, and he called me Monday morning. And we got a chance to chop it up for a longer time. And he and his staff are in a great place, man. And he's a great guy. And I told him to his face, I say, Coach, I'm pulling for you until you play A&M. I say, against anybody else, I'm pulling for you. But when you play the Dogs, I got to go with my Dogs.
Yeah. And that's a great thing because, Coach Graves is a outstanding guy.
Yep.
Yep. And I feel that way even if he wasn't a football coach because, he's come on the show a couple of times and, straightforward, transparent.
Yep.
And that's a good thing. Charles, I was thinking about when you were talking, this would be the perfect time for Southern to get off to a fast start.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to know that you can come from behind and get it done. But boy, I would love to see a fast start this afternoon. And the games, and we were talking before the show started, 2 p.m. A lot of the games now in November. I have to get used to it, but I haven't. I'll be honest with you. 2 p.m. But usually the weather is cool, Aussie, and it's in the 70 degrees. It'll be almost 90 degrees here today. Humid. So, it's been a long season, but the task is at hand. Everybody has to play in the same conditions, those 2 p.m. afternoon games, Central Standard Time.
And Carlos, I think everybody wants to start off fast. It just doesn't happen to go that way, most of the time. And I think the real thing is that they're able to adapt and adjust and get it back quickly enough, to where it doesn't hurt them in the long run. But I'm like Coach Pettaway. I think Coach Graves, he owns up, to any mistakes that may have been put out there. He owns up to, any bad play by the team, that sort of thing, which is a rarity, because a lot of times, folk are looking to place the blame, that sort of thing. But, he readily takes those things. And, Bethune ain't nobody to sleep on now, no doubt about that. But
Yeah.
I think they kind of shot their wide last week. And, I think it's Southern today, no doubt.
Well, no offense, but I did pick Bethune-Cookman to pull the upset last week. And, boy, the chat room, I love you. You're all ready. EA says Carla's not trying to sound mean, but the Western Division, that's like telling the feds Diddy donated $1 million to Jackson State. Don't nobody care. EA, I love you to death. I believe EA is a FAMU alum. We'll see you next year, buddy, in Baton Rouge. Oh my! Hey, I'll be honest. I'm brutally honest. The Eastern Division, that top 3 teams right there. Jackson State 1, in my humble opinion. FAMU number 2, and Alabama State. As tough as they had it offensively. And remember, we talked about teams breaking in quarterbacks. The defense had to carry the load early on in the season. Alabama State has gotten it done. And they got a huge matchup coming up, I believe, next week with Jackson State. So I'll give, the Eastern Division, 1, 2, and 3, the top 3 teams. Then in the West, you probably go with Southern University. But I told you, the prognosticators, you can get a chance to compare and contrast. In contrast, Southern University picked 4th, got a chance to get it done, and come out of the Western Division. It's going to be interesting. The rest of this football season, panel. Grambling State, honestly, I remember you told me off the record maybe about a month ago, don't get too excited. And the point I'm talking about is the Jackson State game. Grambling State defeated Jackson State, but boy, Jackson State was very giving in that game. 5 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember you telling me that. Don't get too excited. There's still a lot of season left to play at that point. You remember that, Austin?
I absolutely do, Carlos. And let me just say this. When you have 5 or 6 turnovers in a football game, you're supposed to win the football game. There is no doubt about that. And for Grambling to have that many turnovers and win the football game, it was absolutely euphoric for Grambling State University. Everything looks as if it was going or trending in the right direction until they had to start playing against teams who were preparing every single week to come after them, and they didn't turn over the football that much, and they played consistently for 4 quarters. You just talked about it a minute ago. One of the issues that Grambling has is they, in most cases, start very fast, but they can't finish the football game. Last week against Bethune-Cookman, started fast, 17-7 at the half, and in the second half of the football game, gives up 17 points. So you and loses that football game 24-21. So it's really not how you start the game, it's how you finish. And right now, I think every team in the SWAC should have, especially on the SWAC Western side, should have the Al Davis approach to football. Just win, baby. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just find a way to get the job done. And Grambling State University was a team at the beginning of the season that a lot of us looked at that said that they had potential, but they weren't ready to step into the upper echelon of the Western Division or SWAC football.
Yeah. Well, starting slow, finish fast. Starting fast and not finishing. I'll go
Hmm.
back to that. I'll go back to that word, consistency. That's what you have to look at every week, Coach Pettaway, and try to improve every opportunity you have out there. But we can still see the teams that have not gotten good, consistent quarterback play, game managers, then they leave it up to chance and luck. But you gotta have good quarterback play. And Coach Pettaway is like the point guard on the basketball team.
Yep.
He's got to be the one to run the team and get them in the best position possible. And he doesn't have to win it by himself, making all explosive plays. Can you manage the game? Can you not turn the ball over, ball security, and make the critical throw and the receiver catches it and be consistent about doing it?
Yep, game management is what everybody's looking for down the stretch, and in the fourth quarter, making the in-game adjustments. That's what I've been seeing. In that game last Saturday with Southern and A&M, you could see the adjustments that the staff made for Southern, and particularly in that fourth quarter, man, they just locked us down, man. They locked us down. They did what they had to do. Our fans thought we had the upset coming, and the Jaguars said, "Nope, it's not your day. We this is our game." And you can see the energy shift, and so it was just great. It was great.
Southern marches on. A lot of games to be played. We'll give you this week's schedule. We'll look at last week's schedule. Before we go to a break, on this part, I'll just simply have what we found out. And I'll start. Since Adrian T said, can be productive and can run the team when healthy. That's what we found out. But now, can he put together another game and work on consistency? Charles, what did we find out this past week in the conference?
Well, what we found out this week is that you got two young quarterbacks who are leading their teams. You got T-Set, who's young, and then the quarterback for Alabama State,
Yep.
who's really good. He's about 5'9", but he does a good job of managing the game, and the OC does a good job of managing the game for him. Alabama State physically, defensively, just come after you. And so I think what we've learned now is that you got two young quarterbacks that can lead their teams. Alabama State needs some help, though. We talked about the Eastern Division. They need FAMU to drop one. They need FAMU to lose today. And then Jackson goes to Alabama State next week. And if that scenario sets up nicely, man, it's going to be a head knocker next week. Jackson State at Alabama State. This is Jackson's last home game today. But I think what we learned, at least from what I can tell, that he said number one. And then you got a young quarterback, a guy that was a fifth-string wide receiver who played quarterback in high school. He was the fifth quarterback for Alabama State, and he's leading his team. So that's what I've learned. I've also learned that Southern University can find a way to, if you find a way to keep them around, they're going to find a way to snatch your heart out. I think we're seeing that time and again. It's happened all year long for Southern University. So those are the three things that I learned. Also, I think Jackson State obviously Jackson State's just flat out getting it done. It may not be as pretty, but they've got good quarterback play as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think Jackson State's doing really well with T.C. Taylor with a brand new contract in hand. T.C. Taylor can go out there and do what he does with a fresh contract, a fresh 4-year deal. So obviously the administration is backing him. So those are the three things I learned. Two young quarterbacks and Jackson State flat out getting it done. And Southern University flat out getting it done in the fourth quarter.
Wait a minute. T.C. Taylor got a what? 4-year extension?
It's a refreshed. The most you can get is a 4-year contract. So if you're 2 years in, they'll just tack on 2 years and you got a 4-year deal. That's the most that any coach in the state of Mississippi can have is a 4-year deal. So he's 2 years in. They'll just tack on 2 years and the contract starts over. He's got 4 years.
I would like to have seen him get some financial. Well, I'm always stuck on that, and I go back. Here we go. Cole's going back in history again. Coach Spivey, you remember him, Coach Pettaway?
Oh yeah.
Southern rolled that contract over, and I was like, just give him a bonus. Give him something short term. You know what happened, huh? Didn't do well after. So I don't want to give the kiss of death to T.C. Taylor. But in those situations, Wheeler, help me out. I'm going.
It's nice. It's nice to have those 2 extra years added on. I think it gives you a little bit more of a sense of security, even though we know that, nothing's pretty much promised from day to day. But just knowing that, I got 4 years now, instead of 2 left, and to kind of put that behind you, so to speak, I think it does wonders for his mindset. He's feeling pretty good. I think I would rather have that security of knowing that I got a full 4 more, to continue the path that I'm going down, especially if I'm feeling good about prospects and, recruiting and things of that nature. It's nice to be able to have that. My thing, Carlos, is that it's been mixed results in terms of the new coaches in the conference. We would like to say that those who were hired from already being on staff would have had a leg up over those that were not. But you look at the records, it's kind of pretty much like the same. Coach Graves was hired from within. They're doing fairly well. The guy at FAMU, he was pretty much hired already on staff. You would probably say pretty much the same thing, even though they're not in championship contention right now. Some of the other coaches that weren't maybe not doing as well as some of the others, but it's kind of been like a coin toss. So, I've been trying to keep my eye on that to kind of see, if hiring from within really gives you the leg up that, everybody would think that it should. I guess Charles would probably say, Coach Alcorn, being hired from within, there was some expectations that went along with that. Maybe he's not really meeting those expectations right now, per se, but, somebody got to win and somebody got to lose. And, right now you got some people on the wrong end that probably should not be on that wrong end.
Right, but the biggest thing that Wheeler said that really holds true, it's in the recruiting. When prospects see that your coach is going, that coach is going to be there, that helps you in recruiting. So when Jackson State gave the 2 extra years, that's going to help them on the recruiting side because other coaches will use it against you. Why are you going there? You don't even know if he's going to be there. But now they do know that Taylor's going to be there because they've gone public with the extension, and that really helps on the recruiting trail.
Well, I was just hoping that, I'd like to look at that contract. I don't have I don't have a problem with it, but I
it's
want to
nice
see
to have a few extra dollars in your pocket, Carlos.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Don't get me wrong, man.
Rewarded with some bonuses there.
But you know where it starts though, Carlos. You know who got the extension first, right? The athletic director, Ashley Robinson, got a new deal. So when you start at the top and you take care of the top, you know what's probably going to happen. He's going to take care of those coaches that in those big sports, football. Mo Williams got another deal, and so I think, and from what I was told recently, that hey, Ashley is saying, hey, I got a new deal. You ride with me, and he's talking about men's basketball and obviously football. So I mean, TC, I think kind of deserves that. People can talk about Mo Williams all you want. This is, it's kind of starts and stops with that. But he's got to have a team this year. Talking about Mo Williams to get it done. I mean, they got this kid, Ole Miss transfer in Ruffin, and you got all these new pieces he's got to try to make fit. He lost a lot in the transfer portal, though, so we'll see what Jackson State looks like. But it starts with the AD. Ashley Robinson got a new deal, and I think it just kind of trickled down from there.
Interesting, especially with the basketball part. Now I got to look at Mr. Omar, the baseball coach. I hope he's been taken care of. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Carey, when those extensions happen, more players are committed. Well, I just have to be careful because for some reason I get associated with 2-year contracts. and I don't know where that started from, but I say I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, a lightning bolt may come down. But with that being said, I'm all for those who have proven themselves to be compensated both financially and with extensions. Oh boy. I had to get that out with extensions. That was kind of tough.
Been a fan of Mo Williams' contract if he had been bringing in X amount of dollars in terms of guarantees, that sort of thing, and really helping out a little more from that point of view. Would help me overlook the fact that he hasn't been in the championship discussion over the last few years, so, but that being said, if that wasn't the case, and if I'm not being discussed in the championship discussion on a yearly basis, then I got to kind of, I ain't gonna say question that a bit, but I understand the loyalty factor, that sort of thing, and actually looking out for his folks. No doubt about that. So, it is what it is on that one.
Well, that reminds me of last year. I mean, not last year, last week. Someone in the chat room was basically saying that with the recruiting class coming in for Jackson State basketball, and that's, in his opinion, why he should have gotten an extension also. But that's recruiting. But like on the court, they've fallen a little short, Coach Pettaway. They've fallen a little short, and that's basketball. And well, we got to go to a timeout. But one of the other things was trending that I mentioned, and I'm being facetious. And Willard just kind of talked about it. He would turn his eye away from Mo Williams because of all those guarantees that are coming in. And boy, Willard, the dollar signs in mind. And I know the basketball coaches also talk about getting those teams prepared in the non-conference to get them ready for the conference season. But shout out to Grambling. They only lost about 2 points to Ole Miss.
At Ole Miss, yep.
At Ole Miss. So congratulations to Grambling. And guess what? I know Mr. Jackson's not satisfied. He's probably mad. He don't want any what's the term? We lost by 2. Not a moral victory. We wanted that basketball game, and you were that close to getting it done. But I've looked at some of the other scores. I guess I need to do my deep breathing exercise. It's not good. It's not good. But they're gonna be judged on the conference season, right, Coach Pettaway?
That's true.
Well, no, that's what you all say now. I don't say it.
Some of
them ADs, they're still looking at overall record. Yeah, some of them ADs still looking at overall record.
I just can't do it. I just can't do it. After this past Tuesday, and then watching these scores, except for Grambling State.
There has not been a SWAC basketball coach in the history of the conference that I'm aware of that has been fired at the end of December after going 0-13, 1-12, 0-11, 0-14 in non-conference. The earliest that I can remember, and maybe Dr. Cavill or someone can help me, Byron Rim III was fired 6 games into conference when he was 1-5. That's the earliest I can remember a SWAC coach being let go in the conference. But you're not going to see a coach get fired after going 0-13 in non-conference or 1-12, whatever it is. It's not going to happen. And Wheeler Brown has talked about it extensively. We understand. He understands. The coaches understand.
I don't understand. I don't like.
I get that you don't understand.
I don't like.
I know you don't. I know, and I understand why you don't understand. Okay, but I think the reality is it's just not going to happen. Your job is to bring in $750,000, however many games it takes for you to get there. Anything over $750, you keep it. And I think from what I was told at Jackson State, that's kind of the case. A.D. Robinson told Mo, "Hey, you bring me $800,000. Anything over that, you keep that for your program." And I wouldn't be surprised if he got $1 million in guarantees with this non-conference. They played U of H the other day, and look, I mean, we played Utah State. It was not pretty at all. I mean, so we can put Alcorn in that conversation, unfortunately. And today they got an exhibition game at Xavier. Landon Bussey's alma mater. It's Xavier's homecoming.
Hey,
and so that's going to be an interesting game, to say the least, down there in New Orleans. I really would like to see that game with the screen. But no coach in this league is going to get terminated at the end of December after going 0-13, 1-12, whatever it may be. It's not going to happen. It's just, in my opinion, I just don't see it. It hasn't happened in 50 years, and I don't think it'll happen in the next 50 years.
Hey, Charles, I agree with you. They're not going to get fired during mid-season, but at the end of the season, when you sit down with that for your yearly evaluation, your record comes into play. They don't just sit there and talk about your conference record. They will ask you a question like, "Well, what can we do to have a better non-conference record?" Not play so many dad blasted games. That's how you do that.
Those type. Remember,
right? Yeah, I'm talking about money games. Right.
Yeah, but that's why I think, like Charles said, at the end of the year, you bring those things up, but at the same time, the reality of where we are from a budgetary position. And what you hope is that, number one, as we said previously, they can bring that money in as few guarantee games as possible to kind of leave them some leeway to play some schools that they could possibly beat, so that they can recover in time to get into the SWAC schedule and do well, without the stench of those losses continuing to hold them down. So you juggling, but at the same time, the dollars got to be brought in. Somebody's gonna have to bring them in, And as Charles said, you're not gonna get fired for playing all those guarantee games at the beginning of the season, specifically because I told you to go out there and play them. Now, I'm not gonna say, Coach Pettaway, you played all these guarantee games. You went 0-13, and now I'm gonna let you go. I mean that's not realistic. But at the same time, we do expect miracles from an administrative point of view. And we would hope that we're able to get that team upright. After experiencing what they've experienced, to go into conference play in the proper mindset and, get strong and do well and la-di-da and everything else that go along with that.
Wheeler, I'm clapping, but you know what? The fans, you remember I said I would be in there with a sign. 0-12 or 2-10. I'm so excited, but it's only conference play now. We've talked about it before, and yeah, we got to get the break. Yeah, and I think Willie, you even admitted it has to be balanced. Coach Pettaway has said balance, and we always talk about putting our players in the best position possible to be successful. That is one of the ways we can do it. Not so many games, guaranteed game. And then Wheeler, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think it's the AD's job, 99% to bring those dollars in. Now the basketball coaches are nice to do it, but
Carlos, it's everybody's job. It's everybody in the department's job.
Well, everybody needs to get the salary.
Everybody plays a part. Everybody's got to lend a hand. Some of us naturally are in position to do more than others, and that being the case, bless you. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. But we all are in this business, to try to do the best we can from that point of view.
And if we were, and look, football, we don't talk about this enough. Football totes the mail for athletics.
Yeah.
If we were packing our stadiums, if we were filling up Spinks Castle Stadium, if we were filling up Mumford, if we were filling up Eddie Robinson Memorial, if we were filling up, and Coach Pettaway talked about it. I mean, even at Cruz, if we were doing that, I think the decisions in terms of how many of those games that you got to get would be lessened, because you've got a lot of money in the bank that you're making off football, and that would help basketball, where you don't have to go out and do that. But until we do that, or unless we do that, this is kind of where we are. Football is what carries the mail. And yeah, we're making some, and I've seen the attendance of homecoming games and these other games. I think attendance is up throughout the league, but there needs to be a continued increase in attendance if you want basketball not to go out to get this many games, because basketball's got 13 scholarships. Coaches are making good money. You want a lot of coaches on your sideline, like Johnny Jones. He's got 7 or 8 of them. You got to pay for that. And so you either get it through your basketball guarantees, or football's making so much money like LSU and others where they can give basketball some of that, then that helps too. But until or unless that happens here, we're talking about the SWAC, then you're going to get what you're going to get, which is bring me 750,000 or 700 or 650, whatever that may be, however way that might look like.
That's a cop out to me. I'm sorry.
And can I throw this in real quick, just because I've heard everybody else say what they're saying, and I have to concur with the overall assessment, but I heard the street prophet once put it this way, that if it don't make dollars, then it just don't make sense. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's a dollars and cents thing. And so if you got to go and take that 0 and 12 to make up for what you don't have budget wise, then you got to do that. But here's the other thing, where it may look like it's a lack of morale for your team, it also prepared them for what's going to happen to them in the conference schedule. And if they make it to the NCAA tournament, they'll also be prepared and ready to go against teams who are up in stature. So you got to kind of look at it from both sides of the fence. But at the end of the day, it's dollars and cents, guys.
Right,
Yeah.
but okay, that I agree with you, Ozzy. But I would really like to know how many dollars do the ADs bring in outside of game guarantees. I would love to see that figure. What money in this conference are the athletic directors bringing in other than the game guarantees? And see, from a coaching standpoint, let me tell you something, Ozzy. If you put your team out there for 12 or 14 games and they're getting their heads bashed in, when it comes to conference play, they're not going to be ready to play because they don't have any confidence. They don't have anything to pull from. So that's why it has to be a balance. Yeah, you play some of those tough games to get your team ready, but you do not expose your team to 12 and 14 games that you're not going to win, because where's the confidence for your team? They don't know that they can play or they can win, because night in and night out, they're not seeing any progress. So it has to be a balance. It has to be a balance.
And also, Coach Pettaway, we talked about strength of schedule. There's a financial piece as a conference. Then think about it. It puts a lot of pressure on the conference teams. Here's where I'm going. If you're 1 and 10, we'll just say 2 and 10, 2 and 12. And you already know that from the conference standpoint, that's what you're going to be judged on by the administration. The fans might feel a little different. As I look in the chat room, they feel a little differently. But the pressure is now, because you've gone out and did so great. You've been so great, supportive to help bring in, Willa says, now the pressure is you got to go almost undefeated in conference play.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you might can afford one loss. So that's even, you've done this great thing, but boy, now it's a lot of pressure. But the good thing is this: the AD will not, get rid of you if you don't win that tournament championship or the regular season. So at the end of the day, reward those coaches, specifically basketball. If we can get, and remember we had this discussion, Willa, can I get 40%? You said that was I don't know about that, Carlos. 30, 20% back to basketball, 10, 5%. You said, well, I'll see what if you were in a position.
Yeah. And I mean, you take care of the needs and the wants, that sort of thing. So, if a coach came in my office with a list of things that he or she needed in order to help improve their program, and we know that it's going to cost dollars, and I know that they're going out there and, playing guarantees, things of that nature, I'm not going to turn that down. I'm not going to be one to say, well, we're not going to be able to do this or we're not going to be able to do that because of XYZ. I'm a move your items, to the top of the list, and I'm gonna do my damnedest to, make sure that you get not just the things that you need, but some of the things that that you want to have for your program. I'm gonna make sure that your program is taken care of. So while you may not see the residuals in your pocket, so to speak, you're going to see them in other ways and in other means. And so, it's a give and take. on everybody's part, but I would think that, you look at Texas Southern, and they play those guarantees pretty much on a yearly basis, but they also in a position where they're in contention year in and year out, for the championship. What is it that Johnny Jones or whomever the coach is doing that he can get those kids ready, for SWAC play after going through what they've gone through, So, I mean, there are some examples out there of this happening and people recovering in time to get to make a run conference wise.
Veteran
So,
team.
so I mean, and it may be far and few between, and that's okay. But let me know, talk to me, tell me what it is that you're doing with your kids that I may not be doing with mine. Then maybe I can take a few nuggets from him, a few nuggets from somebody else that's going through the same thing, and try to mix and match and balance that thing and get my kids to that point.
Well,
One word, Carlos,
mm-hmm.
talent. Texas Southern's got talent. They've got the talent to be able to find a way to make a run when it matters the most. Texas Southern 2 years ago won the tournament as an 8 seed, in which a lot of people counted them out even making the tournament at all. They got hot. They won the tournament as an 8 seed. They got talent. And Johnny Jones, we know what he did at LSU, even though it was a struggle down the stretch, but Johnny Jones is a really good coach. I wasn't sold on him when he got the job. I'll admit that. I didn't think he was the right fit. But, man, he grew on me, and he's a really, really good coach. He's got talent. He's got a deep team. He's got a deep bench as far as coaches are concerned. He knows his stuff. So, therefore, when you have that, TSU finds a way to turn it on when they need to turn it on. And he understands that in this conference, it's about what you do on the back end, what you do in March, whether tournaments in Birmingham or Atlanta, they're going to be right there year in and year out. And I think that's what they do. And some of that money that they bring in, that goes back in their program, and they got 7, 8 coaches on the bench, travel coordinator, video coordinator. They got the whole 9 yards. So it makes, now that doesn't guarantee you're going to win every year, but you got a full roster of folks that can help make the head coach's job just a little bit easier. And he's got the talent, so he can just go out there and coach and put his team in the best position to win.
Right. And then academically, Carlos, some schools are set up better than others when it comes to transfers. Texas Southern, over the years, their talent comes from transfers. They have very few high school kids that on their roster year in and year out. They're mostly transfer. And some of the schools in the SWAC, it's hard to get transfers in. It's hard to get them in where they're academically eligible. So yes, talent is there, but they got the money that they can do a lot of things to come up with a good roster.
But mentally, coach, he's selling them guys on something. He's selling them guys on something. He's convincing them some way, somehow, that they can do this. We can get through, these guarantees, that sort of thing, and still be in contention championship-wise. So outside of all that, there's another piece that goes along with that, that he has apparently mastered or close to having mastered it, to where he can get those kids believing that they still got a shot, regardless of how we finish this preseason.
Well, if I look at it now, I think, and I don't know the inner workings of, I know the AD at Grambling State. I know him very well as we close hour number 1. But Grambling State basketball should have as much given back to that program because they're trending up.
Yep.
And they've done very good. And, hey, Grambling should not. I'm going to have to, during the break, look at somebody in the chat room, pull up their non-conference game. That's one program to me doesn't have to play 12 or 13 money games.
Right.
From a talent perspective, they don't have to do it. And guess what? After almost beating Ole Miss, I don't think teams when Grambling does call, hey, Alabama, you want to play us? I don't know. I don't know. But kudos to Grambling State. Men's basketball and women's basketball, not bad either.
And to throw this in, Coach Dante Jackson has done a tremendous job of being able to build a program that was on its way down. It was on the bottom. And he found a way to bring in the talent. He found a way to get those guys to play up. And I think it comes down to his ability to do what we've been talking about throughout this segment or throughout this hour, is that when you have good coaches, good coaching is just like Novocaine. It will prevail. It'll just give it time. And that's what he's been able to do. He's been able to be the Novocaine that Grambling State needs and has built the program to where it is. And so when you look at his body of work, he can sell to any recruit that comes in at this particular point that we have a body of work that balances with the tradition that we have here at Grambling State University. And at the end of the day, that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to build on the tradition that we have. And so preferably when Grambling goes to Florida on Monday, they can put together a very good showing against the Florida Gators after having a good game against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss had a 20-0 run in the second half of that basketball game that gave them an opportunity to beat Grambling at the end.
Well, you came up with the term all games matter. Well, I'm going to have to come up with one with these non-conference games. All guaranteed games are not good games.
Yeah.
I got to work on that. I got to work on that one, Austin. Oh, well, Dr. Cavill's weighed in. 85%.
Wow. 85. Good gracious.
Willa will
be in a coma. Willa will be in a coma, man, if you told him he had to give back 85% to the program.
Dr. Cavill, I was asking for 40%. 85%.
Good gracious.
That's great.
That's why Johnny Jones makes the big bucks, and that's why he's got a full complement of staff for that reason right there.
Okay,
I'm going to bat for Coach Jackson at Grambling State. Can he top 85% at Grambling?
Wow.
Probably not. But guess what? I would think he could 90% or 85%. I know it's a different situation at Grambling State, but man, that's what I'm talking about. Woo. I
mean, money makes the difference.
On that note, I'm supposed to preview Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll also get in hour number 2. The math is not matching there. I don't know about that one. And then we'll look at the games ahead and look at the games last week, prediction-wise. And kudos. Shout out to Southern Women's Soccer in the championship game for the first time in history against TSU. Sunday, 1 p.m. If the Jaguars fall short, it has still been a terrific, outstanding season. Coach Fontenot, keep on keeping on. We'll take a timeout.
Hey, Carlos, before you take a break, I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm gonna have to break camp here. I apologize for that, but some things have changed, and I got to get on this. I apologize.
Hey, I understand. We'll see you next week. Appreciate it.
Go Braves.
Go Braves. Actually, go TSU Tigers. Also, got to come with the victory. We'll take a time out. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Standard protection that's never not working. Head and Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
You know, I like that. Go Wildcats, go. Bethune-Cookman band. Hey, I'm not sure if they're making the trip, but you know, Wheeler Southern band, if I'm not mistaken, didn't make the trip to FAMU. Coach Pettaway, I don't think they made the trip to Alabama A&M, and you know, you're kind of seeing that more often. I guess from a financial standpoint, maybe it doesn't make sense. So, hey, maybe some of those guarantee games you can put a little bit in the coffers for, you know, pick a team. No, I'm not picking Willa, but I'm serious. You know, like the human jukebox in Tallahassee. That's a given. If they gotta be there, you know, they gotta be there.
But that's not an athletic expense, Carlos. That's a band expense, and you know that's a university expense. You know, so it's going to be up to the university to decide, you know, how important those particular things are.
Well, it should be.
I mean, you know, from an athletic director's point of view, you know, you barely got enough to fund the department. You know, and so, you know, when you're talking about trying to move the band also, you know, you're going to need significant help in order to do that.
Well, if I could wave a magic wand, we could have all of those for those important events. I know it was at a time the bands traveled everywhere, you know, all of the games, but now we look at it, it's not the case. Southern University and Bethune-Cookman coming up at 2 p.m. You got to love those early starts in November. I'm trying to get acquainted, get used to it. But at this time of the year, it is. The Wildcats are near the bottom statistically in every aspect. But Southern, I like the mindset Coach Graves has put to his team and staff. We can't overlook anybody. We've got to come out and do what we need to do to be successful in this football game coming up at 2 p.m. 3 hours later, the Jaguars want to be victorious again and have moved another step toward one of their goals, and that's, you know, winning the Western Division championship. Coach Gray said, what's on paper doesn't always tell the story. He warned his team, when you play up, he's talking about Bethune-Cookman. They played up twice, FBS schools. It can hurt you stat-wise. When you're down and score 70, 80, 90 points, you're always going to be at the top. average wise. We don't get caught up in that. We respect everybody. We don't fear anybody. So with that being said, Wildcats ranked 11th in scoring offense, 18 points, 10th in offensive yards per game, 269. But they have a pretty decent quarterback who's overcome injuries. A transfer from Indiana State, Cameron Ramson. He's completed 108 of 171 passes for 1,186 yards. And guys, he's a dual threat. And athletic ability. You can never question athletic ability with some of the dual threat quarterbacks, and they can be dangerous. But the panel, how do you think Southern does in this football game today?
Hello?
I'll go first. They handle business,
Call
no doubt. I mean, whether they start off slow, whether they start off fast, I think at the end of the day, they finally got some questions answered at the quarterback position. And if they can continue to run the ball, which makes T-Set a better game manager, no doubt about that. If they can continue to do that, I see them beating Bethune today. I don't see them taking them lightly. I don't think Coach Graves will allow that. And, with so much at stake, I think they get it done today.
Right. And I agree. I think they know what's on the line. They know how close they are to a Western Conference championship. They got to be ready to play. I think those kids know that. I don't even think the coaches got to push it that much. I think the players know where their position is, and you playing at home, you got to protect your house. So they got to come ready to play.
Yeah, but Coach, I would take the perspective on 18 to 21-year-old, 22-year-old student athletes. Sometimes you can tell them and warn them that you can't take it lightly. You still gotta reinforce that all through the week, even right before they march out to the stadium. Let's take care of business. Don't take anybody lightly.
And I think that Coach Graves has reminded his crew that the championship is on the line today. That if they don't have a good game, it could set them up for what could possibly be a debacle down the stretch for this team. So he's preached all week long that, hey, the championship is in our goal, guys. We don't want to be the team that Bethune-Cookman will have an opportunity to play a spoiler against at this particular point and help themselves down the line. So I think that Southern will have no problems today handling business against Bethune because those 18 to 21-year-olds do know at this particular point in the season, Carlos, that the championship is right there within fingertips grasp of them being able to be there at the end of the year.
Wow. Fourth. They were picked fourth in the West. And, I kind of laughed at the predictions, kind of. Alabama State and Alcorn State. Alabama State is a little bit closer to representing the East, but they got a little work to do. But you look at those predictions; they're just that. I'm glad it's one on the competitive playing field, and then you get a chance to look at those predictions and how did it play out. Guys, last week in the conference, Jackson State, I believe it was their homecoming, over Arkansas Pine Bluff 41-3. It was FAMU over Texas Southern 52-28. Of course, Southern University over Alabama A&M 25-20. It was Mississippi Valley State. Boy, they almost got that first win.
Yep.
Fairview over Mississippi Valley State 17-16. Panel, and I said it last week. Fairview would win, but boy, it was going to be a battle. And they seem to struggle against Mississippi Valley. We've seen in the past few years they had a chance to wrap up the Western Division title, and they couldn't get it done. Is this a standpoint of they just match up well with Prairie View. It seems to show that by some of the scores of the past few years.
Yep, I think it's matchups, and now it could be mental for Prairie View too now. Because of what has happened over the years. So they just got to get out of that funk, man. They got to get out of that funk. But PV has been up and down all year, so it didn't surprise me that it was going to be a close game against Valley.
Yep, 17-16 Prairie View over Mississippi Valley. Of course, Bethune-Cookman comes back and defeats Grambling State 24-21. And then, Charles had to leave, but Alabama State over Alcorn State 21-17. Last second play that they got down to the 3 yards on a long pass. Alcorn State switched quarterbacks in the game as they've been doing all season. And Alabama State just defensively, they're nasty. They get after people, and they've overcome obstacles offensively. And so Alabama State over Alcorn State 21-17. Wheeler, Alabama State doesn't have a shot in hell. Hey, wait.
They've overcome a lot now, so don't count them out, man. You think about this, Carlos. What other school could afford to be down to their fifth string quarterback and be where Alabama State is now?
Not many at all.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah, and that defense, they ride that defense, and that defense, and number one in the conference. They rely on their defense. I know Wheeler, but I was kind of like you. They still haven't shown me, in spite of what I just said, that big game to really push themselves over the top.
Consistency hasn't been there for them. Regardless of circumstances, that sort of thing. And, even though they're playing good defense and, they're putting it all out there, at some point in time, you do have to put some points on the board, and you got to be able to, manage the game accordingly, that sort of thing. And I don't know. I'm just not sold on them, on the program in its entirety from a football point of view yet. And, but they could provide a trap game for somebody, namely Jackson State, because, we can't pretend that they haven't beaten them in the past, so, you know that, at the end of the day, you got to be ready either way it goes.
And, I said, we shouldn't peep ahead, but I'm going to do it. Jackson State offensively, they're pretty good. Alabama State's defense is pretty good. Yeah. I see the scenario, though. I'll go back to basketball. I think Alabama State coach Pettaway, it's like in the 80s, the Lakers and the Celtics. Alabama State want to slow it down. Jackson State wants to play up tempo. And if Jackson State, this scenario, gets up, say, 14, 17 points, offensively, I just can't see Alabama State being able to overcome that. Now, if it's a slobber knocker, it's tough, it's low scoring. Alabama State, that's a shot.
Alabama State, right? It favors Alabama State. I think you're absolutely correct.
And I'll go even as far as to say it like this, and Wheeler will probably appreciate it when I say this. Alabama State could be like the Baltimore Ravens' first Super Bowl team. They were solid defensively. They were horrible offensively. And they found ways to win the game. And so you just have to put enough points on the board. And if your defense is solid enough to say, score us enough, and we'll go down and we'll hold it down for you, that's a team that could be very dangerous down the stretch. And people have to remember, Alabama State is 4-1 on the eastern side of the conference. Even though they've had struggles, they're finding a way to win. And so at the end of the day, can they just get enough points on the board to win the football game. I think defensively they can handle anybody in the conference. And today, Grambling is going to see exactly how good Alabama State defense is.
Right. And I think, Carlos, I can envision a scenario where Bama State's up by 3, Jackson State has the ball and has to drive the length of the field. I could see Bama State's defense winning the game for them. I can see that. That defense, man, they come at you so many different ways. So we all looking ahead, but after today, it's going to be real, man. It's going to be showdown in the East with Jackson State and Alabama State.
And then let's look ahead to the Soul Bowl. Right now, anything could happen in the rivalry game. I remember Southern and Grambling. Southern coming in 2-8. Grambling State had it all wrapped up. Southern goes out and scores 50 points.
Wow.
Can Alcorn State get it together against Jackson State? Offensively, they have struggled well. They've struggled really offensively. But Southern has as well, right? So can Alcorn State shock the world in the Soul Bowl? Still, a lot of games to be played. Anything could happen, but I still think, in my humble opinion, Jackson State has been the best team in the East so far. And I look for them, albeit Alabama State next week. I look for them to represent the East, but I could be wrong.
And the one thing that you can say about Jackson State that makes them so good is they have offensive linemen that lean on you. They just they put their weight on you. And they have running backs that can run the football effectively. When Jackson State can run the football, they're as tough as any team in the Southwestern Athletic Conference that you will probably ever find. And if Alcorn wants to win, the first thing I'm coaching up in practice, hey, we've got to stop them from running the football effectively. We can't let these big guys get up to the second level on us and create these running lanes. So Jackson is very good at leaning on people, and when they can run the ball, they're very tough, very hard to stop. Alcorn will have their hands full in the Soul Bowl.
Well, as we see in the chat room, Mr. Carey says the Tigers are physical. The Tigers are number 1 in the East. I also know that as well. I think they will make it. They will represent the Eastern Division. And there are other scenarios out there. I see in the chat room, Southern and Alabama State could make it. Don't laugh at that. It could happen. But I still will go with Jackson State coming out of the East. And it looks like Southern in the West.
And I want Southern. I really want Southern at this particular point as a Grambling man, even though I'd like to see Grambling win the Bayou Classic and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'd like to see Southern be in the championship game. And if they have an opportunity to play Jackson State, get retribution for what happened earlier in the football season. Because what Jackson did to Southern at the beginning of the season was absolutely bully football. They pushed Southern all around. And at this point, if I'm Southern University, I don't want another squad besides Jackson State to prove to everybody that the game that we played earlier this year was an absolute fluke. That we're a better football team now and we can handle what's coming our way. So if I'm Southern University, I want Jackson State at this point just for the retribution standpoint.
Hell, I want Jackson State. I'm not playing football because that, to me, that is the most intense rivalry. It's like the guy one Saturday, he got you. He whipped you on the playground. I want redemption, Coach Pettaway. I want another shot. And hopefully the outcome will be a little different. But that's the way it seems to be headed that way. But some more things could happen. The schedule for today, Alabama A&M at Arkansas Pine Bluff, 2 p.m. Prediction times. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Coach Pettaway, Alabama A&M. Can they bounce back from a disappointing loss last week? Who do you like?
Yeah, we got to, man. I got a chance to see Coach Manny at the basketball game the other night, so I'm going with A&M.
Ossie?
I'm going with Alabama A&M. I like Coach Carnell Maynard. I think he does a tremendous job every single year getting his guys up and ready to play. The record doesn't look great right now, but he's an outstanding coach. So I'm going with Coach Maynard as well.
Mr. Willa Brown, what can Brown do for you?
I'm going with A&M, no doubt about that. But the seat is hot.
Interesting.
The seat is hot.
This would be a great, and I always talk about overcoming obstacles and adversity. This would be an excellent time for Alabama A&M to get it done. Arkansas Pine Bluff offensively can get it done, but they were humbled last week. I'm gonna go with the home team. I think Arkansas Pine Bluff will find a way to get it done, but I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama A&M bounce back from adversity and get it done. Alabama State at Grambling State, and of course, all these games are 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I believe isn't this game on HBCU?
I think it's ESPN Plus.
Plus, okay.
Yeah,
Alabama.
ESPN.
Okay, thank you. Alabama State at Grambling State, 2 p.m. Defense versus a Grambling State team that needs a win bad. Coach Joseph, honestly, they've been talking about Coach Joseph has gotten more involved in the play calling. Seems to be something going on internally. I don't know. From the outside looking in, can Grambling State bounce back at home against a tough, nasty defense in Alabama State?
You know, I'm a Grambling guy through and through, but I'm also a realist, Carlos. The Grambling Tigers have not played good football the last several weeks, and they just haven't put 4 quarters of football together in the last several weeks. And so it doesn't matter who's calling what or who's doing what. It's about the 11 guys that step out there on that football field and have to block, tackle, and execute every single play. But I just don't believe that the Grambling Tigers have enough offense to go against that Jackson State defense. The Alabama State defense and make a big difference in today's football game. Grambling will not win this football game today.
Right. I'm with Alabama State also. I think because of the defense travels, and I think because of the defense, they'll find a way to win.
And I think, I'm going with Alabama State also. I think Grambling, as Ossie was saying, there's something going on inside that program there. I guess we're getting bits and pieces, and, we probably shouldn't be getting the meat and potatoes of it. But it just feels like Mickey Joseph's putting a lot out there on the table in terms of internal workings of the program. And I just don't think they get it done today. I'm going to go with Alabama State.
Is it first year? How can I put it? Is it growing pains for Coach Joseph and the Grambling State staff? I mean, he came in, Mickey Joseph from that famous Joseph family out of New Orleans. Is it growing pains, honestly?
I don't think it's actually growing pains right now, Carlos. I just really believe for Grambling State University, it's a lack of consistency with what happens throughout the course of games. They do not finish well. They have a great start, but they just haven't learned to finish. Now, I will say this, taking into consideration that Coach Joseph had to revamp his entire offensive line, except for one guy, Taj Martin, who's the left tackle for Grambling State University. So, other than that, you have guys that can actually play, but the level of consistency that Grambling needs to be a winner, I think that's where it starts and it ends. It has to be consistency from the Tigers. So I don't think it's a growing pains year. I just think it's getting guys to figure out how do they finish football games.
Well, I always talk about, pressure. Coaching at Southern University, at Grambling State, he'll have an opportunity, correct, to kind of work those things out. And we'll see 2 years from now how Grambling State has
2
grown the
years.
football program.
2
Uh,
years.
wait,
Oh,
wait,
you
wait,
don't think
wait,
that you don't
wait,
think that
wait a
give
minute,
him
Willa.
2 years?
Wait a minute, Willa. What you trying to say? I say in 2 years we'll see. I'm not saying he will only have 2 years. I didn't mean it that way. Look, Willa taking a little shot there, Willa. 2, no. Okay, will it be better in 3 years? We'll see. Mickey won't stay 2 years. Oh my! What's that? Casanova? Hey, that's not me. That's not my other personality. With 2 years, let me move on from that 2-year contract. Oh boy, Texas Southern at Alcorn State. Now this is an interesting game. Alcorn State coming off a disappointing loss last week. Texas Southern made a long trip to Tallahassee and got spanked pretty well. Who do you like in this ball game? Alcorn State or Texas Southern?
I got Alcorn. I think Alcorn will win on the reservation.
Aussie?
This one is tough for me, and I tell you why. Coach Chris Dishman has done a pretty good job of actually getting Texas Southern actually to play good football throughout the course of this year. They're not a bad football team. I watched them a couple of weeks ago in Houston against Grambling State University. So this is not a bad football team, but to go to the reservation and actually win, that's one of the harder places in the conference to come away with the W. I've got to put my eggs in the basket of Alcorn State University coming away with the win. It may be close, but I believe Alcorn can pull it out.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to say the last time they came to Lorman, I think they had a very good account in themselves. But I also know last year, right, Texas Southern really punished Alcorn. Remember that was after Alcorn had demolished Southern, and boy, that was a tough one. So, do you think after the disappointment last week, then they're thinking about last year what happened? Will they be fired up? That's a tough one. I'm like Aussie, but I'm gonna go with the big upset. I think Texas Southern gets it done. Alcorn, I think Alcorn mentally, I don't think they're going to be there. But I could be wrong. I'm going with the upset, Texas Southern.
Okay.
I'm going with Alcorn. I'm going with the home team. I think they pull it out today.
Well, I'm the only one that has stated that Texas Southern will win. We'll see what happens on that. Bethune-Cookman at Southern University, we kind of already talked about that earlier. I got your predictions. FAMU at Prairie View. Boy, that's their longest trip of the year. Going in the state of Texas. FAMU flying high. Coach Pettaway, can Prairie View pull it up?
I think the Rattlers, their offense, PV is too inconsistent this year. I think FAMU will have what it takes. They still have an outside shot. I mean, they still have a shot at the Eastern Division, so I think they'll be ready to play. FAMU.
Willa?
FAMU, no doubt.
Aussie?
I'm going with the Rattlers too. I just can't see them not beating Prairie View at this particular point. Even though FAMU typically don't play well on the road for whatever reason. I remember a couple of years ago against Grambling, they came in and they struggled against a not so good Grambling football team. So again, I'm not saying this game won't be close, but Florida A&M will definitely come away with the victory.
I like FAMU in a close one by 3 to 6 points. I think Prairie View will try to give a good account of themselves, but I think overall talent will win out in this one, and I think FAMU gets it done. Mississippi Valley State at Jackson State, that's on HBCU Go TV. Mississippi Valley State has nothing to lose but the game. It's a tough situation. Jackson State coming off a homecoming. Normally, you would think it'd be some kind of letdown. Not. Jackson State wins, and they win big.
Yeah, I'm Jackson State all the way. There's no way Valley. They're gonna overlook Valley. They'll be ready to play. Jackson State. They're a better football team. They'll win it.
Willard?
Jackson State, Mississippi Valley. You are what your record says you are.
Well, you know, if Charles was here, Charles, it would be a but. You know, Charles feels like they, you know, and the thing is, they could improve, but it's just a tough situation. We'll give them credit for playing a tough non-conference schedule, FCS. Boy, they played a tough one. They've had some close games against Prairie View. You know, sometimes you can improve, but the record doesn't indicate it.
They got to get that program. They got to get that program right, Carlos. Mm-hmm. They got to, you know, whatever it takes. You know, adding scholarships, what have you. You know, financial commitment, that sort of thing. They got to get football right. That's the only way that they're going to be able to get that entire department right. You know, they're going to have to make the sacrifice necessary to get football right. You know, and until they do that, you know, they're going to be right where they are pretty much in all the rest of their sports. You know, they're going to have to sacrifice, going to have to make that commitment, you know, to make football a contender as much as they possibly can, scholarship-wise, otherwise, you know, in order to be able to reap the trickle down to the rest of those sports. But it's got to start somewhere at some point in time.
Coach Fedaway, I think they could use a hardliner.
Yep.
A person type like Willard. I know one thing. Some things will get done, and he'll be brutally honest. But you know, Willard, we just hope that Valley, and you know, there's always been talk about kick them out the conference. They shouldn't be. But I don't feel that way. And in light of what happened, here we go again, last Tuesday in the election, we can only count on ourselves right now. Mm-hmm. So what we can do to help Valley, we should do that. And every conference has strong teams, middle of the pack, and not in the middle of the pack, if you get my drift. But no, don't help them as much. They are our brethren, and we need to help them as much as we can. So I hope the day comes where Valley is more competitive and doing much better. Not to say that they're in jeopardy of closing, but they just need the help, and it is our duty to help them as a conference. So you have a SWAC loss to JSU and can't process anything else. Oh boy, they're going at it again. The family and the Jackson State fans. But that's go ahead,
Carlos. Before next Saturday, now you know we'll get together again next Saturday. But there's another game now before next Saturday. Mm-hmm. You know, Grambling comes to Huntsville on Thursday night.
Wow.
Yep. So it's a short week for Grambling. Yeah, it's a short week for Grambling and Alabama A&M. Yeah, they'll be on the U Thursday night. So we probably need to get our prediction for that today because it'll be over with next week.
Thank you for that, Coach Pettaway. If our predictions are right, Grambling State will come off of a loss. Alabama and them coming off of a win. Okay, Thursday night. That's always a tough sell.
Right, and there won't be many people there.
Who do we like? Who would you like in that one? Boy, that's a tough one now. My goodness.
It's again.
It's not tie?
No. Well, if it is, it would be great, but it won't be. It won't be a tie. I'd love for it to be, but it won't be. And every time that Grambling goes to Louis Cruz Stadium and plays, it's always a very tough game. And right now, with the Tigers being consistently inconsistent, I just don't see them going on the road in a shortened week and actually taking care of the Bulldogs. Alabama A&M is going to get that win.
Yeah,
going for the home team there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think Maynard have him ready, and he wants to win at home. He's got to.
Willard?
I go with A&M, no doubt. Definitely go with the whole team.
Oh, I
Is
kind
this
of
going
want
to be
to.
your upset?
I kind of want to go with the upset. I'm kind of feeling that. Nah, I'll make it unanimous. Alabama A&M at home. If this game was at Grambling, I would go with
Oh, yeah.
Grambling State on that one.
Yeah.
But I would not. I would not be shocked if it was an upset. Callers just refer to JSU as the Carl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing of the SWAC.
No, they never win nothing. No. Jazz, you gonna win something. See,
Well,
they try.
wait a minute.
Karl Malone, Barkley, and Ewing. They never won a title.
That's
Jazz,
where I was
gonna win a
going.
title. Huh?
That's what I was going at. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what? I got a mediator. I got a mediator. What a guy. What a guy. We'll take a time out. When we come back, it'll be more of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Hey, grab me one too.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mister, this script got a plot twist at a Radisson Hotel.
A business big leaguer.
Go for key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Make sure you like, thumbs up, get the notifications, and not only for this show, but all the shows on the Black College Sports Network. During the break, panel, I was thinking, wonder if there wasn't any divisional play and you just took the top two teams from the conference. Oh my,
Gotta
that
be
would
Southern and Jackson.
well,
Be Southern
well,
and Jackson.
well no, respective of divisions. It wouldn't have divisions. Wouldn't it take the best two teams overall? I think Southern would fall a little. Well, they'll still be there, but maybe it'll be an interesting dynamic to it. If it wasn't division, at the end of the day, after the conference season's over with, you pick the two teams with the best record.
Well,
So
it's at this point, if you just look at the records right now, Carlos, you will see Jackson State 7-2, 5-0 on the eastern side, and then if it were just having it straight down the line, it still
two
would be
best.
Southern University because they're 5-4 and 4-1. So it will still be the two best teams in the conference right now, according to what we have right now before us.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right before us could change, but I don't know. I kind of like the divisions. I know some conferences are going away from on the divisions, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But still, a lot to play for with literally 3 weeks left, 3-4 weeks left in the season. Um, Also, Coach Petaway, if I could switch gears a little bit, it's still early on, but if we look at the NBA, it's some interesting stories that are coming out already. One, Milwaukee is not playing worth the you know what.
Right.
Um, Even the Knicks, Miami not playing well, but Golden State is playing well. The Phoenix
OKC.
Suns, OKC.
OKC. Yep.
It,
Phoenix
it
Sun.
right, Coach. Is it the changing? Albeit it's early. Is it the changing of the guard so far? The younger teams are. I forgot about the defending champion, the Boston Celtics. They've got 2 losses, but they're still in the conversation.
Right. And then you got Cleveland. Cleveland is the only undefeated team left in the NBA right now. And we don't know how long that's going to go. So it seems as if the East is picking up a little bit more, the West. But out West, them young kids, man. OKC, I think Golden State is showing that they have revamped their roster and they're doing well. Then also, you can't forget about Denver now. Denver's going to be a tough out. And then if Dallas ever gets their act together, Dallas is going to be in there too in the West. So it's going to be an interesting year. But your Heat did not get enough done in the offseason, I think. And I think their age is showing up on them. I think in New York right now, they are not playing well together. I think it's going to take a little more time, but I think they'll be there. Boston's going to be there. Boston's going to be there. To me, my disappointment in the NBA right now is Milwaukee.
Yeah.
The Bucks. To me, they have too much talent not to be doing better. And then, of course, Philadelphia, I don't know what they want to do. You know, Embiid says he doesn't want to play back-to-back games, and he hasn't been on the floor yet. Then he's going to be suspended. So, they may be out of it before he ever gets back. Gets on the floor with them. So it's going to be interesting in the NBA this year. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. Even though Boston won the championship last year, they're still not playing the way they played last year. But it's still early in the season, too, now. But they got a lot of talent on that team.
And also, Coach Petaway, Minnesota wasn't mentioned. I still don't know about them, the trade that they did.
No, I think that hurt
Randall in. Yeah. And Anthony Townsend now with the Knicks. They look kind of – they don't look right either. But I know it's early.
Right. But see, I don't think you're going to win when you got your defensive player of the year can't guard anybody away from the basket. So that's why I never put the Timberwolves out. I never put the Timberwolves out there because I don't think they can play out there.
Yeah. And if we could switch gears again, the Saints, their coach, most people here are like,
yeah, Carlos, get your mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the New Orleans Saints. They fired their coach. Will they recycle another coach as their head coach? What else is going on? Saints, they're breaking down their team. They trade Lattimore. for the Washington Commanders. That's a good move. Will Kansas City win another Super Bowl? The Ravens, I tell you what, well, offensively they can get it done. Defensively is going to be where the question is.
Got to be able to stop people. Got to be able to stop
Yep.
people at some point in time. No doubt about that.
So, will we see the Saints? I remember I mentioned during our text messages, Will, Bieniemy, but you kind of enlightened me on some things about him because you've never seen him get a head coaching job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't know what direction the Saints are going to go. Dallas is in a mess. It's just tough. It's just tough. But Washington got a big game with the Steelers coming up. It's going to be interesting to see how this NFL season, as it gets closer down to the edge of the football season. But Baltimore, your team.
Lamar's playing at a high level. There's no
Yep.
doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, he's doing some things just when you think that he's kind of reached the ceiling, he kind of breaks that wide open and, takes another step upward, that sort of thing. So, and Derrick Henry is just, he's the truth. I remember last year we all thought that the Ravens would pick him up before the trade deadline. And I think Tennessee wanted too much, was asking too much for him. But he's the truth, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Nobody trying to tackle this guy. Woo!
Yeah, that's a beast.
Still a stiff arm. Well, I'm telling you, So offensively, they appear to have everything in gear. I just think defensively, I don't know that Orr is in over his head per se, or that he may not just be ready for the coordinator's position yet. But it just seems like the schemes aren't there defensively. You got the same guys pretty much from last year, with the exception of maybe Queen and a couple other guys from the number one defense in the league. And for them to be almost 31st or what have you at this point in time, 10 games into the season, you got a good sample size by which to see what's going on. And, so to me, all fingers kind of point to, the schemes and things of that nature, as opposed to the guys themselves in terms of individual talent. So they just got to get it together. Got to find a way to get it together. Lamar can't carry him, I don't think, all the way without that defense being able to stop people, at some point in time.
Good point. Could we see in a team we didn't mention, but I like them, Detroit Lions. Could we see a possibility of Detroit and Kansas City in the Super Bowl, or Detroit, Baltimore? But it looks to me it could be a Detroit Kansas City Super Bowl.
Right. I think Kansas City be on that other side because they no matter who you get this guy to throw the ball to, Mahomes gonna find a way to make that offense work. Yep. I mean, he's done it. Running backs are different, wide receivers are different. It doesn't matter. I think he and Andy Reid are joined at the hip with that offense, and they can push the football down the field. Then they got a pretty decent defense.
Yeah, well, they have been impressive. The Detroit Lions. We got about 9 minutes left in the show. So with that being said,
hey, Carlos, can I send a shout out, please?
Yes,
Alabama
sir.
A&M women's basketball on this past Thursday.
Right.
They hosted the University of Alabama. The number 24 ranked Crimson Tide came to town. We had an awesome atmosphere. It was a near sellout with them in town. The Lady Bulldogs, they lost that game 84-59, but they were in the game in the first half. They were playing well. Alabama's just too strong, too deep. And guess who beat us, Don? Miss Green. Miss Green that played at Arkansas Pine Bluff last year.
Oh,
Yeah. She's the starting point guard for Alabama, and I guarantee you, if she continues to play the way she played the other night, she'll be first team Zale Green. She'll be first team All SEC. So she played for Coach for Don for a couple years, and then of course when Don took the job here, she got in the portal and went to Alabama. She's starting for them. She dished that rock, man. She scored about 14 points, had about 6 or 7 assists, and she's playing well. And then the Lady Bulldogs are on the road today. In fact, they're already playing. It's at halftime. They're in the tie with Eastern Michigan right now at halftime up in Michigan. So shout out to the Lady Bulldogs. They represented the conference well against the 24th ranked team in the country. And
to get them at home, Wheeler, hey.
Yep.
I did see some of it on social media, like the introductions, and it was a electric atmosphere. Now, those are one of the games, Wheeler.
Got that new convention center to pay for, Carlos.
Yeah. Oh, the people were there, and the Alabama fans came out. So did the A&M fans, the Bulldog Nation. They came out. It was an electric atmosphere. Yeah, they do a lot of stuff, man. They got the pyrotechnics going off, all kind of things going on. So it's an event when you come to the game now.
Mm-hmm. Now, those are the type of games, although it's a money game, it's at home. And I know that's far in between. You just kind of look for improvement. It is what it is as far as the scheduling. But, hey, we've talked about it. Balance and scheduling smart. Hopefully one day it'll be the opposite.
But if you can get those folk to come to you,
right.
And because that they're going to bring their fans, they're going to bring a good crowd, that sort of thing. So that's going to be a win-win for you either way.
Right.
So I almost can guarantee that A&M made pretty much just as much money that game playing at home if they would have played in Tuscaloosa. Probably would have been the receipts probably would have been about the same. So that was a no-brainer right there.
Yeah. Well, and they got UAB. And they got UAB coming this week. The women do. They're coming to Huntsville. Yeah.
Let me ask. That's wonderful. Let me ask a question. Is it more pressure on Alabama A&M's men's basketball team or the women?
Yeah. I think Otis is probably gonna feel it, but no, he put together a non-conference schedule. He's got about 8 or 9 home games, non-conference. So he's got he's got one of them multi-tournament events coming in where we'll be playing 3 straight days there. So he's picked up his home schedule also.
And we'll go over again the preseason predictions as far as in the conference, but guys, it's going to be competitive. But man, Grambling State #1 right off the bat on the men's side. The women not far behind. Right. And then on the women's side, it's going to be very, very competitive. Hopefully no injuries in non-conference. And then again, like I said, now we're #1. Because of how the schedule works out, it's a lot of pressure to win the conference. You literally have to go undefeated, or you can't have no more than one or 2 losses in the conference. And then of course you got to win the tournament. And then next year it's 10 teams, or this year it's 10 teams, right? Or is it next year?
Yeah. No, it's this year.
Next year
everybody goes. Next year everybody goes.
Oh boy, everybody. That's going to be interesting in itself. Hopefully by that time we'll see if there's going to be buys, for at least the regular season champion. But we'll see how it all figures out. 3 minutes left. Guys, I'll switch gears again. I'm trying to get better, but after this past week in the election and what have you, I was kind of really down. But you know what? The Creator has never left us as a people. and he won't leave us now. We have to come up with a new strategy. But I said to some of the folks this week, we only can count on ourselves now, basically. And so we've got to love ourselves. We're fighters, and we'll dust ourselves off, and we'll get back up, and we'll continue to fight.
Oh, yes.
So I was really down. I was really down, but guess what? Hey, life goes on. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Closing comments from the panel.
All right, I'll go first. I'm looking forward to the games this week. I'm looking forward to these games, setting it up for next week. The big showdown, I think, is going to be in Montgomery next week, and I look forward to it.
Coach Pedro, are you peeping ahead there?
Yeah. I think both teams will take care of business today.
You know, I could. Now I'll wait for my prediction next week on that one. Wheeler?
Well, I'm going to go back to your election piece again, Carlos, for, Kamala Harris to have gotten 92% of the black female vote, and to not have gotten that same amount in terms of the black male vote, to me, that was very, very disappointing. And, somehow, some way, we all got to get on the same page, with this thing. It's difficult enough as it is, and hopefully we're not fighting internal battles amongst ourselves in terms of trying to get over the hump and get this thing done. We got enough outside forces fighting against us. We don't need it from within. So, hopefully, we put all this behind us and are able to move forward. But to me, though, that statistic right there really, really said a whole lot. That's just like asking other people to help fill our stadiums. It's something we should be doing ourselves, and we have to find a way to break that seal and to get over that hump.
Right. And I myself, as a African American male, I don't have a problem. Look, I've been around strong ladies all my life in my family. I don't have. Look, we don't walk in front of each other or behind. We're side by side. Austin, take us out.
I'm going to say life is about adjustments, and that's one of the things that we will definitely have to do over the next couple of years is just make the adjustment. The second thing is, as black men, we have to collectively do a better job of protecting black women. It was disappointing to see so many black men speak ill of a black woman publicly, and that really did something to my soul, especially being a father who has a daughter. And so it's going to be incumbent upon all black men to do a better job of protecting our black women in public. What we say to each other is something totally different. But when you're out in public and out in front of everybody else, we have to do a better job of making sure that our women are protected, loved, and respected.
There you go.
That's right. That's right. On that note, I want to thank everybody. Make sure you tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition. That's Central Time for the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Also, thanks to Roy for producing today's show and everyone in the chat room. We appreciate the support. Until next time, peace and God bless.